Dr. Sharma, why would you say that religious traditions emphasize wisdom as much as they emphasize compassion?
By religious traditions, I guess you mean Hinduism and Buddhism. And then if parsed along these lines, and then I think in the case of Hinduism you might say, why does it emphasize both Jnana and Bhakti? And in the case of Buddhism, one might say, why is Prajna always paired with Karuna? Of course, in the case of Hinduism, both Jnana and Bhakti can independently be pursued as ways of realizing the ultimate reality. Of course, with the realization that the distinction between Jnana and Bhakti and Karma and any further subdivision of the yogas is only a heuristic convenience, and that they're not to be parceled out as totally and mutually exclusive, or like braiding of these various these yogas takes place. See, the way the relationship between Bhakti and Jnana is explained in Hinduism is slightly different from the way Karuna and Prajna are related. In Buddhism, as I see it, the relationship between Jnana and Bhakti seems to be that one of them deals with the idea of eliminating the I, Jnana, and Bhakti deals with the idea of eliminating the mind. I and mind. You go after the I, you go into the Jnana. And you go after the mind, the world, the attachments to the world, and so on. And then you go into the path of Bhakti. But that ultimate realization involves the transcendence of both. So, Ramana Maharshi can say that imperfect Jnana and imperfect Bhakti are different. Perfect Jnana and perfect Bhakti are the same. The case of Buddhism is equally interesting. And in this case, both Karuna and Prajna are regarded as the two wings on which you soar to Nirvana. So both of these are required on the path. There are several ways of parsing this. You might say Prajna is required in order to fulfill one aspect of the vow, Bodhisattva's vow, that I may become enlightened. Karuna is required for the other part, become enlightened for the sake of all living beings. So both of them are fused here. But there is also the implication, I think, that you require each for the exercise of either. So if you have Prajna without Karuna, then you might even become a Pratyek Buddha. Right? So to fulfill your vow properly, become a Buddha proper, you need that. But equally interesting is the case when you need Prajna to manifest compassion properly. And I think this is an aspect of Buddhism from which we can all benefit. Because we tend to feel that when our intentions are right, we have compassion, everything is okay, we can basically do whatever we think is right for the other person's benefit. But here we get into the what I call the doctor-nurse dilemma. What I mean by that is that suppose an accident takes place on a road and you have a doctor going to his classes. Now the doctor, moved by the incident, attends to the victim, misses the class, but has done a good deed, basically done the work of the nurse, right? He has missed the class. If he kept doing this, if it was an accident-prone road, he kept doing this, he won't get his degree. So what is the dilemma? If he uses compassion, he doesn't get prajna. Now we are not used to framing these issues as a point of conflict between prajna and karuna. This is the merit of this formulation, that it problematizes the issue. Because there is a real issue here. Who is more effective, a nurse or a doctor? Each are equally important and effective in their own place. But I think we'll have to admit that the doctor's job, the doctor who declines to be a nurse for several years, comes up with a treatment more effective than mere nursing might produce. This is what we are into. And this is very well brought out towards the end of Milarepa's life, when he's asked by one of the monks, should we spend some time doing good in the world? And then he makes some very interesting points. First he says, you may do so provided there is not the slightest self-interest, but that this is rare. And then he says a few things which I paraphrase as follows. How many undertakings you have succeeded in, which you have undertaken for yourself, and now you are trying to do good to somebody else when you fail to do good to yourself? Do you see the gravity of the situation? He calls it blind leading the blind. So ultimately he says one should not be too hasty in trying to do good to others. And one should, he says, so long as the earth endures, sky endures, there will be no dearth for sentient beings for you to serve. And to everyone comes the opportunity. But till that opportunity arrives, be of one resolve, to seek your own Buddhahood for the good of all sentient beings. So this idea that prajna has to be placed in this sense above karuna as the only real way in which karuna could be conferred